Warlock time. Stasis, Fellwinter's Helm. You're going to be able to get up close, personal with all these enemies. You're going to make them dizzy, you're going to freeze them, we're going to debuff them, we're going to absolutely rip the piss out of them. Get up close, look at this, absolutely no chance. Going to blind them all, suppress them, debuff them 30%. Stay tuned, I've got a build all around Stasis and the Felwinter's Helm. So, Fellwinter's Helm is an exotic warlock. Powered melee final blows create a burst of energy that weakens nearby targets. Finishes and final blow against more powerful targets increase the radius and the burst of the length of the weakening effect. It works with melees and it works with finishers. The bigger the enemy, the more powerful the radius is and the longer it lasts. It's a 30% debuff. I paired it with Heart Shadow, but this isn't a must. You can run it with pretty much anything. Tractor Cannon's really good, but what Heart Shadow does is it fires 4 projectiles similar to Black Talon, but after it does, it makes you invisible, and it fits quite nicely with this build. But so does Black Talon, and so does Tractor Cannon. This does a similar effect to the Fellwinters. It puts a debuffing effect on them. Again, 30%. This is what Fellwinters does. Every time you finish something, anything around that target is just going to get sort of suppressed, and they're going to be debuffed by 30%. They're dizzy, they don't really harm you, they've got no chance. So pairing the Felwinter's Helm with the Stasis Warlock and the Stasis Melee in particular, it is super strong for ad control. It's going to enable us to get up close, personal, and have safe finishers and safe melees getting up close, because everything around you is going to be debuffed, whether you kill them with your melee or with your finisher. Heart Shadow, this is where this fits into it. Freeze them, debuff them, and just destroy them with your Heart Shadow, or again, something like Black Talon is really nice with it. So again, this is just the ad control sort of gameplay, just to quickly show you. I've got some footage of some lost sectors and GMs as well, so you can sort of see the loop of play. Finish or melee to debuff them enemies around, and then I'm going to get my sword out or whatever weapon you choose to finish them off. Now this is where it really excels. Large groups of enemies, you're going in there, get up close. Anything that needs finishing, you're going to be able to safely finish them off with your Fellwinter's Helm. Going to debuff that target by 30%. Again, get up close, get something like a shotgun, sword, something like that. How I've got this set up is I'm basing it around the mod called Heavy Handed. While charged with light, regain half of your melee energy when you use your melee ability, and I'm also running 1-2 finisher, so every time I finish something I get a melee back. It's like a nice little cycle, and on top of that I'm running reactive pulse, so every time we finish we're going to get a nice crispy overshield. So as well as disorientating everything around us and debuffing them, we're going to have a nice safe finisher, an infinite melee, and if we don't finish we're going to get so much of our melee back from the heavy handed perk as well. So it's super nice. Watch that melee, watch it come back. This is everything working together, the heavy handed, the finisher, the 1-2 finisher. So it's really strong. You've got infinite finishers obviously, and then you're also going to have pretty much infinite grenades, and the ad control of it is just absolutely amazing. You can get up close and personal, like I've said quite a few times, and it is just absolutely insane, honestly. Pure control, and we can really just make these enemies into our little toys. You can play with your food before you eat them if you want. Just play with them, constantly keep them at bay. And this is where it really excels at. Large groups of enemies in lost sectors, things like that, 1600 lost sectors. All these enemies here, they're all frozen because of the Stasis subclass and the way I've got it set up, and that overload is just mincemeat because he's already debuffed from that melee, and it's really nice. And as you can see there, the other part of reactive pulse is every time you take damage, as long as you charge with light, and if there's things close by, it's going to emit an arc burst, so you're going to be able to have a nice overshield, and if there is anything else shooting you, it is going to do like a little blast of arc energy to push them away as well, which sometimes does leave them finishable. So it's like a perfect little cycle with heavy handed finisher to get your melee back, and then your melee, if you don't kill him, it's going to leave him finishable. Now the one thing that I found is I was messing around with the build, and the one sort of aspect that really glues this build together is Frost Pulse. Whenever you put your rift down near enemies, it's going to do a shockwave that freezes enemies. Now this absolutely glues this build together like so, because you're going to freeze them and then you can pretty much do whatever you want with them, leave them finishable, just toy with them if you wish. But what I tend to do with it is I'll maybe hit them once, leave them finishable, take advantage of that Felwinter's Helm like so, and then this is GM gameplay, and you'll see all these marauders. They're usually a bit pesty, but with this setup and the Fellwinters and the Stasis setup, you can just really make things easy. Tractor cannon gameplay now. I'm freezing that enemy consistently with my melee, debuffing him with the tractor cannon, and then because he was finishable, I can also finish him, and anything behind him is then going to be debuffed dizzy as well. So tractor cannon is pretty decent. Like I said, Black Talon's pretty good as well, but tractor cannon is extremely useful if you don't have the Heart Shadow Sword. Heart Shadow Sword is the weapon of choice. I prefer it just because it gives you that invisibility as well, but like I said, it isn't a biggie. There is quite a few different options, as long as you're going to use something that's going to do loads of damage to take full advantage of that Felwinter's Helm. Even something like Forbearance is pretty strong. I'm going to show you my aspects and fragments set up on my Stasis Warlock now, because they're pretty important. So the two aspects that I base this build around is Frost Pulse and Glacial Harvest. What Glacial Harvest does: freezing targets creates stasis shards around the frozen targets. Higher tier combatants create more shards. That is really important. Frost Pulse is one you can mess around with, but I personally found this one is the best one to run out of the others. What this does: casting your Rift generates a shockwave that freezes nearby combatants. With the Penumbral Blast, that is an instant freeze. The coldsnap grenade that I run is an instant freeze. So them two are instant freezes, and the Frost Pulse is an instant freeze. It's total domination and total control. It's super nice. I always run the Healing Rift. The fragments are Whisper of Hedrons, dramatically increase weapon stability, weapon aim assist, weapon airborne effective mobility, resilience and recovery after freezing a target with stasis. So with everything else that we've got going on, we're going to be constantly freezing everything, and we're going to have that always up. Whisper of Conduction, nearby stasis shards track to our position. Really nice with Glacial Harvest. That's one of the reasons why I run that one. So all the stasis shards that you create are going to travel towards you, and then it's really nice for end game stuff, because if you pair it with Whisper of Rime, them shards that you create, they're going to heal you, and they're going to give you a nice overshield, and you don't have to run to them. They're going to travel nicely towards you. So it's a really nice little combo, that one. Really good for healing and end game stuff. Whisper of Fractures, your melee energy recharges faster when you are near 2 or more targets. This one is pretty noticeable, and with it being a melee build, it's really nice. Now what I want to do is show you this trick around heavy-handed. It's not a trick, it's just a way to get the best out of it. So what it does, while you are charged with light, you regain half of your melee energy when you use a charged melee ability, and it consumes 1 stack of charged with light. And it also, as a little bonus, while you're surrounded, it gives you like loads of ammo for your fusion rifle, shotgun, sidearms as well. So becoming charged with light is really important for heavy-handed, so we need a constant supply of getting that. And how I do it is I run this mod here, Elemental Shards. Stasis shards count as elemental wells. That's why Glacial Harvest is really important, because all the shards that I create, when we run Elemental Shards, it's going to convert them to wells. And then what I do is I run Elemental Charge. So Elemental Charge, Elemental Shards with the Glacial Harvest is an infinite supply of charge with light, because Elemental Charge makes you charge with light by picking up elemental wells. So this is how it works. So I'm going to throw my grenade, I'm going to freeze something, them shards are going to travel towards me, make me charge with light, and that is going to enable me to have my heavy-handed up all of the time. So because we charge with light all of the time, we may as well stick on something like Lucian Blade or High Energy Fire, whichever one you want to choose. If you're running a sword, obviously Lucian Blade. That is everything for today. I will leave a dim link in the video description, so you can just copy and paste that dim link. Have a great day. Catch you next time.